Hello and welcome to another episode of Moose's Gear Goo Review. I'm Moose, and today we have a knife review, and that is of this guy. This is the Civivi Brigand. I believe I'm saying that right. Civivi Brigand. Now, at the time of this video, this is a discontinued knife, but I still want to show it off because it's dope. But if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Moose. On this channel, I do reviews of knives, gear, food, and tech for backpacking, hiking, travel, and everyday EDC. So consider liking and subscribing and hitting the bell notification icon for up-to-date videos when I release them. So, getting into the knife, this is the Brigand. Now, this knife is super dope. Mostly, because it looks cool. With this knife, typically I don't go for looks on knives. I look for functionality, and overall, this, in my opinion, kind of has both. But it was the blade shape that really got me attracted to it. So we will go over some specs, and then I'll talk about the design features. Alright, so the overall length for this knife is 8 inches. The blade length is 3.5 inches. The blade width is about an inch from cutting edge to spine. The blade thickness is 0.12 inches thick, which I think it could have been a little thicker. It would have been alright if it was a little beefier, but it still keeps the weight down. The handle length is 4.5 inches. The handle width is 0.8 inches wide, and the handle thickness is just over half an inch. The overall weight on this knife is 3.43 ounces, so about 3.5 ounces. And yeah, it's a big knife. So going into this knife, we're going to talk about the blade. The blade shape is kind of what really attracted me to this knife. This is a very stylized kind of Wharncliffe design slash clip point almost. So typically a Wharncliffe blade has a straight edge, and it's just kind of straight, almost like a reverse tanto. This has a ever so slight looking curve to it, and it really gives it a cool look. And I don't know, I guess that's what really attracted me to it. So we got a D2 blade, plain edge or flat grind, plain edge blade, no serrations. We have a nice little stylized swedge across the top that looks really cool. You have this kind of upswept, clipped Wharncliffe tip. Comes to a very fine point at the end there. And then you have a choil here, big enough to put your finger there, but just be cautious with it. And then you have some jimping on the spine, which is pretty good. It feels all right in hand. As you can see, I'm in that finger choil there. But yeah, the other thing that I really like about this blade is the fact that it's clean. There are absolutely like no markings on this blade that you can see. There is one small little print just along the edge there where it meets the handle, where it says D2. But other than that, really clean blade. So if you want a really clean looking knife that doesn't scream any brand, pretty much the only brand on this whole thing is that pivot pin with the Civivi C on it. So yeah, really like the blade. It is a designated flipper. There are no thumb studs, and there is jimping on the flipper tab. I like the rounded look. It really kind of rolls off the finger pretty nicely. And yeah, it's pretty smooth. It's all on ball bearing pivot washers and cage ball bearing, and it's just nice. Big size, and because of that, you go into the handle. Now the handle's the other thing I really liked about this. Once I got it in hand, it was super comfy. So we have a G10 handle scales with a nice kind of textured cloth pattern on there. They're chamfered a little, but then it's also shadow boxed by the actual handle frame. and so you get that little bit of pop of the edge showing out and kind of outlining the overall scales. Now it could have been nice if it would have just met, if the scales would have met the full side of the liners, but it adds some style to it. But either way, it's still really comfortable in hand. And that's what I like. Like, the overall design is fairly neutral. You do have a finger choil here and a little bit of contouring. The scales themselves are kind of slightly rounded. Like I said, they're chamfered all around the edge, which really smooths out the handle scales. And overall, it feels really good in hand, especially in a hammer grip, a full hammer grip. Almost feels like a fixed blade handle. Going into the back, there is a lanyard hole, and it does have a nice fold over deep carry pocket clip with recessed screws. The actual mounting part isn't recessed into the scale. It would have been a little bit nicer if that would have happened, but you know, this is a budget knife. And then it also is a two-directional or two-position pocket clip, left or right, tip up only. We have a 3/4 flow-through construction with a small back spacer there, and then if you can see inside, the scale are milled out, at least on both sides, so it is milled out on both sides. Not sure if the camera can pick that up, but which actually makes it pretty light for a decent sized knife like this, and being only 3.5 ounces. It's pretty good. Feels good in hand, balanced well, very nimble and maneuverable, and I like that you can bite up, so it's a two-position handle there. All the hardware is satin, and the liners and the pocket clip are matched, and then you have this nice satin finish blade. So when using it, it's a really good slicer. The high saber grind with the swedge makes it super nice for slicing through product. Cardboard cuts it like a dream, like a hot knife through butter. Good for any sort of food prep, though I didn't necessarily test it. I did, cut a sandwich with it once, but that was about it. And yeah, just really digging it. Overall shape and design, definitely unique and looks really cool. So in comparison to some other knives, I got the Spyderco Emphasis, which is a very large knife. And you can see handle-wise, the overall cutting edge is pretty much the same, and the blade length is about the same if you go from the finger choil here, but the Emphasis is a very large knife, so it makes this knife look kind of small. The blade stock is kind of thin on the Brigand, but it's a big, light knife. Another knife we have is the CRKT Pilar 3. These are more comparable, very similar. I think the cutting edge is a little longer on the Brigand. Handle-wise, they're about the same. Blade stock, though, the Pilar 3 is a thick boy. So, but yeah, good knives. And one more knife. We'll do this one. We got the Kershaw Knockout. Once again, both big knives. I'd put this into the medium to large category of knife. The pocket clip is really nice on it, though. Blade stock's about the same, and overall length and size is pretty good. So it's kind of sad. Now, the thing that I noticed with this knife is that Civivi oftentimes uses the same handle shape or design, and there's a couple other knives that have the same handle, same pocket clip, everything, just a different blade shape. Unfortunately, this blade shape, specifically the Brigand model, is discontinued, and it's kind of a shame because it's a really nice knife, really cool look, and is at the time of this video, the last known price, going off of Blade HQ prices, was around 55 to 60 bucks. To get a full large, medium to large knife like this for $50 to $60 with D2 and G10 handle scales, that's a really good deal. So I don't know, it's kind of sad that it's going out. I'm glad I have one, But if you can find one, pick it up, because you won't be disappointed to have such a clean looking knife, no branding. You know, that's really neat. And you can feel nice having it and holding it, and it just cuts things really nice. I wouldn't say this is a hard use folder, but just for slicey jobs and cutting everyday tasks, this will definitely do fine. So last test is the ugly brown glove test. This is to test if it works with a clumsy cloth glove. G10 grip. The grip on here is really nice. The texturing is really good. I can feel the jimping on the actual flipper. It deploys easy. I forgot to say this is a liner lock. The jimping on top actually locks the thumb in really well. Grip pull test. As long as my fingers are on that textured G10, this thing ain't slipping. Push test. We got that guard from the flipper and the jimping. In the forward finger choil, same thing. When you're in the forward finger choil, your thumb really bites into that jimping on top of the spine, so that's really nice. Plus you can do some finer carving, so really like that. There is some jimping on the liner lock there. That helps you find it and disengage, and it's easily doable with the glove. So does it pass? Yes. What do I give it? I give it an A in the ugly brown glove test. So overall, really good design, very comfortable, feels great in hand, awesome, cool looking blade, really nice finish. Really like the fact that there's almost no branding at all on this knife, so that's really neat as well. And yeah, for this size and weight, you know, you can't be beat. So if you can find one of these, pick it up. You won't be disappointed, and I do recommend this. So there you have it, guys. Thanks for checking out the video. Let me know if you have one of these or if you think it looks cool. Other than that, remember, like, comment, and subscribe. Peace, and I'll see you outside. Bye.